earlier today had the chance to catch up with Texas Tech head coach Chris Beard. They're a 3 seed. They've got an interesting matchup with Northern Kentucky. We had a really good conversation. Here it is.
Coach, congratulations, and thanks for making time for us.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
So I know you're preparing for the game. What do you know about Northern Kentucky? What have you learned so far as you folks look at tape and get ready?
Yeah, I watched quite a bit of Northern Kentucky in the last 12 hours, but a super team, very, very well coached. I don't know if I've seen a team this year play as hard as they do on the defensive end. They cut really hard on the offensive end. So it's a team that has our full attention and full respect. I want to congratulate them on a great season. They're very, very worthy of being in the NCAA tournament.
You know, you from your time in Little Rock, where I used to work, I worked at the Democrat Gazette back in the day. For me, you've been on both sides of the equation, Cinderella and a team trying to make sure that whatever Cinderella stories happen in the tournament don't happen against you. How do you coach differently or message differently when you're the 13 or the 12 versus the 5 or the 4 or the 3?
Yeah, I don't know if there's much difference. I do try to use our experience, not only myself, but we have other coaches, and we even have players, grad transfer Matt Mooney, that played at the mid-major level. Try to explain to our team how much respect we have for those teams and how hard it is to get in the tournament. I've always been a big believer the seeds really don't matter when the tournament starts, and so we'll try to get that message to our team today. This is a very, very good team, a team capable of winning games in the NCAA tournament. They've got the conference MVP. They're very well coached. They're seasoned. They've got veterans. So this is a team that I think can do a lot of damage in the tournament.
Yeah, Northern Kentucky, you and your group, and really the entire West, and there's respect given to every team that made the tournament, but the West, at least in my eyes, particularly full of really good basketball teams. How much do you let yourself, even for a moment, look at the bracket, look ahead, and have a personal assessment of what's to come if you can win basketball games?
Me personally, I really don't. We set up for our team. It's a 4-team tournament, and you got to win 2 games to advance. For us, it's Friday, and then hopefully a chance to play on Sunday. So we spend a lot of time with our team just talking about a 4-team tournament. Now, I've got 3 daughters, and they all love college basketball, so they'll ask me things about the bracket. But really, I haven't even taken a look at the full bracket, just the 4-team tournament that we're in.
That would be a pretty good advantage. I've got 2 kids, but in our case, in the Reiter household, Daddy doesn't help as much as he should in that bracket recommendations. You know, I want to ask you, and we talk a lot on the show about success is great, but sometimes failures or struggles or hiccups are what shape successes down the line. What will you take from that loss to West Virginia in the conference tournament over the next few days and hopefully next few weeks?
Yeah, good question. So when we got back to Lubbock, we were obviously disappointed in the way we played, but the reason we didn't play well is West Virginia. Give them a lot of credit. They were playing great basketball at the end of the season. So with our team, we simply said, hey, we got to learn and burn it. We got to learn from it, but we got to move on. We can't let the same game beat us twice. So it's something we're never going to forget. We're going to work on that game this week in preparation, show clips of it, but at the same time, we're not going to beat ourselves up. The NCAA tournament's a new season. Everyone is 0-0. So I think there's a fine line between, embracing what happened and trying to learn from it, but also just burning the memory and moving on.
But in film sessions, as you prepare for Northern Kentucky, there will be some West Virginia in there as part of the process for the guys.
Yeah, and that's just the way we are. We've always been a team that kind of studies the last game up until tip of the next game. We talk a lot about improving. We talk a lot about playing our best basketball with each game. And so certainly with us, we're going to have to continue to look at the West Virginia game. Not only the things we did bad in that game, we did play well late, made a great comeback, showed a lot of heart. So we'll be showing the good and bad of the last game, as we always do.
Really interesting. And Coach, not just in basketball, in life, whatever we all do for a living, mentors and the people we've been blessed enough to cross paths with who have shaped us in a positive way, stick with us. And there's a lot of guys out there who are pretty successful coaches who you're associated with. But I'm curious, as it relates to Bobby Knight or other names that you want to throw out there, how much is Coach Knight a part of what you do, what you're about, the success, obviously, you're having?
Yeah, whenever I talk about Coach Knight, I always just associate Pat with it, too. I learned so much from Coach Knight and Pat. My time at Texas Tech as an assistant was like getting a PhD every day in coaching. Nobody has more respect for those 2 guys than I do. I hope that we honor those guys in the way we play, whether it be our unselfish offense or our commitment to defend. The coach has been great to us since we've been back in Lubbock, and I still have a relationship with Pat today that means a lot to me.
Yeah, your defense is the best in the country, and just watching you guys, I mean, it is a ferocious thing to watch. Tariq Owens, I mean, a lot of guys. I don't want to single out one guy, but he's been a huge part of your defense in terms of creating a culture where guys are hustling on every single play, and you can see with your team. How did you go about that? How long did that take? How does one? Because guys like offense, but defense is something that often reflects coaching.
Well, it starts in recruiting. I've told all guys, you normally get to coach the guy you recruit. So we don't spend a lot of time recruiting guys that don't play defense in AAU or in high school or in junior college. We don't think we have a magic wand here. We try to get guys that understand how important defense is and they're committed to winning. Because to win, you got to defend. And then when they get here, we certainly have a way and a system and a philosophy. Coach Mark Adams on our staff does a great job with our defense and deserves a lot of credit. But ultimately, games are won and lost in college basketball with players. And so the story here this year with our defense is our players have really bought in, led by our 4 seniors. They've really bought into the idea that defense is our DNA, it's our identity. We have to guard at a high level to be successful.
We're in an era in basketball where pace of play is all the rage, and usually that means a really up-tempo pace of play. You guys are much slower than that. Your pace of play is more old school, if that's the right term. How significant, how important as your game plan is it for your guys to control the tempo of play in this upcoming game?
Yeah, I mean, our pace of play is based on winning. People kind of say that, but wherever we've ever been, not just Texas Tech, it's all about winning. So the talent we have on each year's team and the way we set up to play will dictate our pace. In the last 5 or 6 games of the regular season, we were averaging over 80 points a game and playing one of the faster paces in the Big 12. So depending on the game, what we try to do is put ourselves in a situation to have a chance to be successful. Northern Kentucky is dynamite in transition. They're really, really good where they can get out and play. So our offense will be a big part of our defense in this game. I would agree with you. Tempo and pace is not only important in this game, but I think it's important in the NCAA tournament. We start with our guys way back in the summer talking about March basketball. And what that means to me is, high-level possessions on offense and a chance to play high-level defense.
Coach, this might be a random question, but I used to work at the Kansas City Star, did a lot of college hoops. A lot of your colleagues and competitors, some of those guys, Frank Martin, the other guy, my Missouri Tigers now in a different conference. But coaches would have different philosophies about how much they would balance sleep over this stretch worth how much time they're actually watching tape. What's your philosophy in that regard?
I'm not very good at the sleep this time of year. Hence the big circles under my eye that I'm looking at here on Skype that don't look very attractive. I need to get a sponsorship with some cosmetic company and get these things fixed. With our players, we talk a lot about the balance between work and rest. With coaching staff, we have a long ways to go on that.
I tell you what, I can't see the circles. So the folks there, yep. Your staff did a good job with the lighting.
Perfect. Years ago with Coach Knight and Pat. Go ahead.
No, after you want to hear it.
Yeah. Years ago with Coach Knight and Pat in our Texas Tech years, we were on that first kind of reality show, Night School. Do you remember that?
I do.
And, they normally put makeup on everybody. But Coach Knight, he didn't believe in makeup. And so me and Pat were like, man, I don't know about this. So the first time we saw the show live, we looked terrible. But all the people you see on TV obviously have makeup on, but Coach Knight wouldn't let us do it.
I can absolutely relate to the weirdness, but the need, unfortunately, for the first time my son realized I was wearing makeup, he's 6, was about 2 years ago, was a real awkward conversation, but it happens. Last question for you, and I'm interested in this. I know it's not about your program per se, but if memory serves, when you were, because I rooted for you guys when you were at Little Rock, because I lived there for a couple years. I liked the community and the people. You were a 12 seed. What is it? Can you just give us a sense of that 12 versus 5 and why it just seems like that matchup in particular is always dynamic and interesting, and we see a lot of 12s advance?
Yeah, I can't speak for other people, but me being like a hoop junkie and growing up watching the tournament, studying it, I mean, there's a lot of games right there in that 13-4, 12-5 every single year. So the first thing we did with our Little Rock is we showed past games to build some confidence with the guys that this is possible. This happens every year. So let's give ourselves a chance. So Now, fortunate enough to kind of be on the flip side of it, we'll take the same approach. It's not going to take long for our guys to understand today how good Northern Kentucky is. This is a championship team, a team that's been in the NCAA tournament 2 times in the last 3 years, a team that's very well coached. They have a balance between seniors and young guys, inside players, outside players. I mean, this is a really, really good team. We're going to have to play well to have a chance to advance.
Yeah, it's 2 great teams. Should be a great game. Coach, I know you have a lot to do, maybe even get some sleep. Appreciate you. Thank you for making time.
Thanks a lot.